Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Nëïgsëndöïg Cöcülës show. My name is Nëïgsëndöïg, the namesake for this here podcast. For today, I decided it was a good idea to go into note-taking software that I use for specific purposes. I have 3 local-first note-taking applications I'll be discussing. One of them is not free software. The other 2 are, though. So 2/3 of this episode. I didn't go deep into free software note takers in episode 18, so I'd like to fix that 8 episodes later. Each app will have a specific purpose that I have, because I like to compartmentalize everything. The purposes are going to be outlined for today. Now, all of these applications are cross-platform, targeting Windows, Mac, Linux, AOSP, and iOS, or what I would call iBloodOS for iPhone and iHackOS for iPads. Oh, and Google Stock Fever Dream, whatever the flip I called it. I think it's like regular Google Stock AI Fever Dream or something like that. Doesn't matter. AOSP, I would think Graphene OS. I would imagine one of these applications I could certainly use on AOSP, despite it being proprietary. But let's not waste any more time. First, we'll get into Nëïgsëndöïg, which is a Pakistani note-taking software licensed under GPL 3.0. That wasn't always the case. It was made open source under this free software license in 2022. The encryption algorithm this uses is XChaCha20 with the sub-algorithm of Poly 1305, and key derivation is Argon 2. PicoCrypt, an application I started using recently, happened to use XChaCha20, but I don't know which sub-algorithm or if it's just XChaCha20 by itself, and Argon 2 for its key derivation. Now, as I've said, the entirety of the source code has been free software since 2022. It was August of 2022 when the source code to this software was released. The purpose I use for Nëïgsëndöïg is songwriting, whether they be for original songs or some sort of arrangement on a guitar, maybe some scripts related to music, but that's the exception, not the rule. There are tons of different genres that I've tried out using Nëïgsëndöïg. And yes, all of them can use it. Mac, Windows, Linux, Android, iOS, all of them can use that just fine. Next, we're going to get into standard notes. This is the note-taking application Proton owns. I've had this longer than Nëïgsëndöïg and the third on this list. This is licensed under AGPL3 for the application, but the server is GPL3. If I am not mistaken, the Free Software Foundation guys recommended AGPL for something that's a server, the apps being GPL. So it's a little switched up. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, this is called free software. This is truly free software. And that's the same thing with Nëïgsëndöïg. Now, the encryption this uses is 004 encryption, though it might have started, at least for me, I started it probably with 003 encryption instead of the 004 algorithm. It is made in the US of A. However, since Proton owns them, I would classify them as Swiss. Another example of this is the French email aliasing service Simple Login. But since Proton bought them, Simple Login I would classify as Swiss as well. How I see it though is, say we have Proton buying a company from a different jurisdiction. So instead of a Swiss company buys a Japanese company. That Japanese company would technically be a Swiss company with a Japanese office, if that makes sense. That's just how I see it. Now, the purpose for standard notes is some general shenanigans. I have written quite a few notes with standard notes, and I started using it back in like early 2020s. I've done this for academic research and encrypted notes on sensitive things. There could be random stuff that's in there, maybe irrelevant to the two above. Now, this has been a long time in the making, so this is something to consider. Third application, and this is the final one of this list today, Obsidian. This is a personal knowledge management tool. It is your bog standard markdown editor. Did you know that this was actually made in 2020 and the 1.0.0 version came out in 2022? I did a little bit of research on Obsidian, and yes, it turns out it is actually made in Canada. This was started by Shida Lee and Erica Xu. This is specifically for Dynalist, who develops it. But I would consider it Dynalist 2.0 because Dynalist.io, which still exists, is really the predecessor to Obsidian. Instead of it being web based and online only, Obsidian is local first and basically online optional. Though there are a couple of things that are online required, like finding plugins and themes, or another optional online feature is checking for updates. Now, this was started in 2020 during COVID. Now, I mentioned Obsidian in episodes 17 and 18, and maybe a few other episodes, but at least by episode 17 is when I really started using Obsidian. The purpose for this, as I've done many times, is content creation, specifically using a vault that's folder oriented. This will help keep confidential things confidential. It is designed, however, as a means to find things in under 10 seconds. This is using the ghost method. If you can't find anything in under 10 seconds, your vault has failed and you need to redo a couple of things. And since I do everything local first, nothing leaks this way. This is privacy preservation. Now, for the plugins, this is a requirement that all the source code to the plugins be under MIT or GPL, but mostly MIT, because they do in fact get a screening for code. I know I have found one particular individual who made two plugins. One went through just fine, the other one had some security holes in the code. So that is something to consider. Though, for the most part, Ghost would say that most of these plugins are bloated or privacy compromised. Well, with how the Obsidian guys do their code and their code quality assurance for these plugins, it's highly unlikely you'll find something that is privacy invasive. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, since this is local first, why would you bother encrypting something that doesn't need to be encrypted? This is a requirement if you want to send something the proper way. If you're sending emails like it's 2010 and still adding in the unencrypted files and folders, what are you even doing with your life anymore? Especially now since the surveillance machine has been getting a lot of data on us for a long time. Likely for over 20 years, and we didn't realize it. But anyway, that is going to do it for this short episode. Thank you, and good night.